Okay, thank you, and thanks for having me here today. This is great. You know, we are just getting ready to launch our new restaurant. So if I was here talking to you in 1 month's time, I think my speech would have been about the opening of a restaurant and, you know, what we went through to open a restaurant. We're not quite there yet. So what we're going to talk about today is really laying the foundation for a restaurant. What we've done is over the past, you know, well, for myself, I've been cooking for almost 17 years now, and always just had a love of food. And so the food has always been number one for me. And so it's always been about ingredients, about getting to know the farmers, about those sort of things. And a couple of years ago, what we did, I was just kind of at the end of a nice long tenure at a restaurant, and I just thought to myself, you know, I've been doing this and I've been doing it for a long time, and I just want to actually go out there and rediscover again what people have been talking about, what they think about food, and see where all that is coming from. So even, you know, 15, 20 years ago, and when I grew up, you know, my mom used to make me crank the cream to make ice cream. You know, if we wanted ice cream, it was hand cranked. If we, you know, I used to ride pigs before I ate the pigs, that sort of thing. And so definitely it's been a long time for myself growing up on a farm just outside of Red Deer. And then, of course, I wasn't there for too terribly long, but we did always keep a smaller acreage as well after my parents decided to downsize, because I guess I wasn't pulling my weight on the farm. Those sort of things. But again, we're talking now about laying the foundation of a restaurant. And so my girlfriend and business partner is up front here. This is Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin. And what we did a couple years ago was we went to Europe, and we traveled through Europe, and we had a great time eating and just noticing all these markets that pop up all the time. And they literally have, you know, the same style of market on different streets, you know, throughout the week. So when we would stay in Lyon for, you know, just over a month, we would find this market that was popping up, and we'd kind of get to know the area and figure out where we were going. And as we got back, we were thinking about how we were going to start a restaurant and what we wanted to do. And so I just started talking to the farmers. You know, for years before that, we would do a series of dinners called farmers market dinners, where we would go just to the farmers market, Strathcona downtown farmers market, buy every piece of food and then do dinners. And so we wanted to evolve that and actually get a little bit closer and figure out exactly what's happening with the food. And so we started talking with Nature's Green Acres. We've been friends with them, Danny and Shannon Rizika, and we've been friends with them for years. And we just said to them, you know, as we've been going through this and we've been seeing how you raise your animals and how we've been seeing what you do with your land, and that you always want to have this, you know, the best product possible, why don't we start working a little bit more closely? Why don't we try doing a farm dinner right out at your place? And so we started talking, and we decided to go for a drive and look at their farm and just kind of see exactly what it was. And we literally just went walking out into the middle of the field. They do have a they're in Viking, and they have a beautiful area. So they actually have an old buffalo jump on their property where that has, you know, the U of A has been out there to show where everything comes from and how they would herd the buffalo to that area. They have actual teepee rings on their site and stuff like that. So as we were looking around, and a nice creek running through there, and we just said, this is where a dinner has to be. We need to do this, and let's just make this happen. And so then we started thinking, how do we make this happen? You know, how is this going to benefit us in the long run? How is this going to work? And we thought short term right away. We just thought, this is going to be really cool. Let's raise all of our own animals. Let's grow our own food for this dinner and do everything right off of the farm. And so that's what we did. We went out there. We planted a garden. We would drive out, you know, every week and weed the garden. We talked about our own cows, our own pigs, our own chickens, that sort of thing. So we raised everything on the farm, and of course got it all legally inspected before we served the dinner. But we did. We went in and we got to finish the pigs. You know, how do you want to finish the pigs? Well, let's try finishing them with apples. Everyone, you know, those sort of things. So let's feed them apples. Let's feed them alfalfa. Let's feed them these sort of things and see how they taste in the end. And what happened was all these natural products just ended up. We took such a strong hold with them that there was no possible way now that you can actually let any of these ingredients go to waste. This is what happens when you actually touch the food that you've been growing or that you're going to be eating. Is when you're touching it, you're growing it. You know, you're feeding the animals. When you finally get those animals in your kitchen, that's when you kind of go, okay, I have to do everything with this animal. So that's where the menu started to progress. You know, there was no menu written, 3 weeks prior to it. It was kind of, let's go see what's in the garden today. Our dinner's in 4 days. Okay, what's there today? And we would look and we would check and see what was there, and we would go on. And then finally, we got the pigs and chickens slaughtered for ourselves and get them and pull them into the kitchen, and it's like, okay, what can we do? So that's where our menu evolved from, and that was really, we did everything from, today you had some pork rillette with soft poached quail's eggs, and that rillette is just another nice style of using great cuts of pork that can't always be turned into things, so people might grind them. We did very French technique with the rillette, and we just started playing around with things like that. Make terrines, make pâtés, make rillettes, make your own sausage, use the prime cuts for what we wanted to do, so roasting and things like that. And then it started to progress from there. And really what we wanted to do was just get back to natural cooking, the basics of cooking, and making sure that we were, first of all, happy with what we were doing. And it was more about, again, a growing process for ourselves, making sure that we loved what we were doing. You can't spend that many hours doing something and then look at it and go, oh, I'm not really happy with that. It's always about making sure that we're happy with our product first, and then if we're happy with it, now let's invite people to see what we've been doing and really get them involved in this as well. And so that was the progression. After that, we've moved on, and we thought, okay, we really want to start this bringing the farm to the city now. So how do we do that? And I guess we have to buy a restaurant. We tried for a year just doing catering, and it just wasn't fulfilling what we wanted to do. We want to have customers on a daily basis. We want to be able to talk to these farmers and say, I want a pig a week. I want, this sort of stuff. And so it really led from there to where we are today. And that is, we have a space, and we're just in the process. So we've kind of done with this space. We've had a really fun and interesting time with it. And so we took over an old existing restaurant in the city on 123rd Street, 106th Ave, and we went in there and we thought, okay, well, this is a great space, but it's not ours. We don't feel it. We don't connect to it right now. So how do we make a connection with this restaurant? So I guess the first thing we did was we gutted the entire place, and by hand. And so it was before contractors got in there and that sort of thing. It was, I'm going to have to say, the harder way to do it. So, after I saw what the contractors have for removing tile and subfloor, I was like, wow, I wish I had one of those a month ago. And but we gutted everything, and it started off just removing a couple things, and then it went to that's not going to work either. And so then it just went to complete gut job: ceiling gone, subfloor gone, walls gone. And then we sat back and looked at the space and we went, wow, we did a really good job of making this, a blank slate. So now what are we going to do? And this is where the creative juices really started flowing, and it really started to, again, connect with what we're going to be doing here, and the laying of the foundation of a restaurant that we're happy to be in every day. So even the last few weeks, you wake up at 7 in the morning, you do some paperwork till 9, you're there from 9, all of a sudden you look at your watch and it's 10 o'clock at night, and you go, wow, that was an interesting day. And it's still, there's never been a day in the last 3 months of construction that we've worried about that sort of thing. There's been it's always been exciting, always been fun, and now we're just kind of hitting the final stretch on that. And so what we did was everything from finding our tables. When you hopefully everyone comes to visit us, you'll see tables. They were made out of reclaimed barn wood, and so the barn was from 1890, and they tore down the barn for us and made all of our tables and banquettes out of the barn. They ended up putting their own little brand on there, so we have these little branded tables. with their little branding iron on there, bathrooms and things like that. We just thought, how are we gonna make this again ours? And so we started to custom make furniture basically for in there and set things up. And so all of those sort of processes have made us be getting to that stage where we're really proud of our restaurant, and we want people to come and enjoy it with us and see what we've built, because we've kind of done everything. We're just being held up a little bit on a wood burning oven, but that was one of the keys to getting a restaurant space. Really, there were deal breakers. When everyone thinks of houses that they're looking for and things that they're looking for, there's always a deal breaker. And for me, the deal breaker was, can I put in a wood burning oven? I don't always want to use gas. I want to have those natural flavors and do those sort of things. And so we finally found a space where we could put in a wood burning oven. And long story short, they said, yes, you can put in a wood burning oven, no problem. We ordered it. I tried to build it myself. They wouldn't let me do that. They said, are you crazy? You're not allowed to do that. Where's your engineered stamp? Oh yeah, that's right. So we have now ordered an oven that is all certified and good to go. And actually, we thought that it was done a month ago, and we found out yesterday when they stopped by that our application hadn't been completed yet. And so we're like, oh, that really sucks, now that we've, again, holes in ceilings and things like that. So late yesterday we finally got our approval and our official permit to put in the wood burning oven from the city. So that's happening on Saturday. We get our wood burning oven. But that was a deal breaker for us. I don't know if, Bernie, you can actually flash back to the website or not, or if just the screenshot of the website. If not, we'll get it at the end. But when we first put up the website, if you saw there was an outline of a wood burning oven on there. That's out at Nature's Green Acres. And so the first year that we did our dinner out at Nature's Green Acres, we had Danny's brother weld us up a barbecue for it. So we just had a homemade barbecue, and then we actually went into an old farmhouse and salvaged from the early 1900s, an old wood-burning stove. And so we have the wood-burning stove. We had a barrel barbecue welded up for us. And then after that, the next year we thought, well, we need to up the ante a little bit here. How do we do that? What's going to be fun? And we decided to make our own wood-burning oven. So we picked all the rocks out of the creek that were down there. We made our own mortar out of the clay and sand that was on their property. We hand mixed it all, and then we put it together. And so we actually had to drink all of we have the top layer to give a little bit of an air separation is all wine bottles, and then you pack it with sand. So we actually had to drink all of the wine as well to make sure that we had enough wine bottles to set in there. And we built the wood burning oven. We cured it. I'd like to say we would have cured it a little bit longer, but we cured it, and we set it ablaze, and we started cooking in it, and it cooks beautifully. And then we thought we should check to see if this thing's going to completely disintegrate on us. So we just kept piling wood in it, and we got it up to just over 900 degrees Fahrenheit for a homemade oven made out of our own mortar, and put together. Beautiful oven. Weighs we'd never be able to move it. It'd fall apart. But we got it up to just over 900 degrees, and it just, we saw the final steam coming out of it. No cracks in it or anything like that. It's been there for just under a year, about a year right now, and still just standing solid. We were out there 2 weeks ago again and taking a look at it, and it's as solid as can be. So again, that's bringing that part. We knew that we loved cooking with wood. We knew that we loved this whole concept of building things with our own hands and learning from others that know how to do things. So we always like to have that interaction with people. Our design process wasn't about looking at an order form and going, okay, I need chairs, I need tables, I need a bar, that sort of thing. It was about, what can you do? How do we do it? How do we make this great? So we have concrete countertops in where every day it was a changing a changing order for us. The concrete our concrete guy came in and he said, here's a sample, do you like that one? And we said we love it. And he said, well, that's good, I can also do this. And so then we're like, oh, well, I like that color a little bit better. So we have things where we're pulling out stones, we're adding stones in at the last minute to sand them down. So we have a really neat bar as well, concrete bar, that we're going to be able to have people sitting up at, and the workspace as well, all done in concrete. We did a concrete feature wall. We didn't want to have all art in there, so we thought we would do a concrete feature wall. We've played with lighting rather than just buying lights. We've made 2 of our own